that's bhai, inshallah, look at this reference, and inshallah it will give you more perspective on this one. Ruhani Khazain, volume 8, page number 44 and 45. Mirza says, और मैंने इन इमदादों में आई टू एड द ब्रिटिश राज एक जमाना सर्फ किया है, यहाँ तक कि 11 बरस इन्हीं अशातों में गुजर गए और मैंने कुछ कोताही नहीं की। बस मैं ये दावा कर सकता हूं कि मैं इन खिदमात में यकता हूं और मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि मैं इन ताइदात में यगाना हूं। भाई नोट दीज थिंग्स एंड देन ही सेज, और मैं कह सकता हूं कि मैं इस गवर्नमेंट के लिए बतौर तावीज के हूं। सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह। एंड देन ही सेज, और बतौर एक पनाह के हूं जो आफतों से बचावे। एंड नेक्स्ट थिंग भाई वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, खुदा ने मुझे बशारत दी है, खुदा ने मुझे बशारत दी है और कहा है कि खुदा ऐसा नहीं कि इनको दुख पहुंचावे, आई ब्रिटिश राज को, भाई ब्रिटिश राज को, कि खुदा ऐसा नहीं कि इनको दुख पहुंचावे और तू इनमें हो। सुभान अल्लाह। ही बेसिकली कोटेड आया ऑफ सूरत तौबा, व अंता फीहिम, दैट आया, he says that खुदा ऐसा, भाई this is the key point, खुदा ने मुझे बशारत दी है और कहा है कि खुदा ऐसा नहीं कि इनको दुख पहुंचावे और तू इनमें हो। बस इस गवर्नमेंट की खैरखाही और मदद में कोई दूसरा शख्स मेरी नजीर और मसील नहीं। अनकरीब ये गवर्नमेंट जान लेगी अगर मर्दम शनासी का इसमें मादा है। जी भाई।
Allahu Akbar. So what Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani is saying, that I am unique in my services to this colonial establishment. He's saying against what Asif Basit, this Murabbi, is saying, because Asif Basit is trying to put Mirza with the ulama. Oh, they were ulama who also believed don't fight the British because they have given us freedom, right? But Mirza is different. Mirza is saying, I'm not like those ulama. I'm not like them. In my services, I am alone. You know why? Because I'll tell you why. Because none of those ulama made it part of religion to serve, to be loyal to the British colonial rule of India. Mirza did. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani actually made it part of his religion to be loyal to the British colonial rule of India, in particular, Angrez ki hukumat, Bartania ki hukumat, okay, Englistani hukumat. He used all these terms differently in different places. Angrez, Angrez, Angrez. Who were Angrez? Angrez is the British colonial rule, the British Raj. This is what it means, right? And Mirza is saying himself from his own mouth or from his own pen that I am unique, I am alone, there's no one like me in the services I have provided, that I have written books for 11 years. Previously, the quote we read was 18 years. In fact, he said, I have written so many books that 50 cupboards or cabinets can be filled with those books that I have written in favor of the British colonial rule in India. Wallahi, if you have any sense, if you have any sincerity, any regard for Allah and His Messenger, you would not consider this man even to be a decent human being, let alone a mujaddid, a Masih Ma'ud, or a prophet of God. And he's claiming that he's saying all of this from revelation, from ilham. This is from ilham. So Imtiaz bhai, I want you to put up that article again, 100 million deaths. Yeah, so that people are reminded again and again what we're dealing with, right? This is what Mirza is talking about. How can Allah possibly, my question is, how can Allah possibly send revelation to praise or to be loyal or to be a die-hard defender of an entity that does this? Please explain to me. Okay, how can Allah possibly do that?
And bhai, in the meantime, can you please comment on this one when it says that Allah ne mujhe basharat di hai? Bhai, this point is very important here.
Yeah, revelation. This is revelation from Allah. Allah ne mujhe basharat di hai means Allah has given me the glad tiding. Allah is sending the glad tiding to Mirza to be loyal, to be subservient to the British colonial rule. which is basically the rule of the cross over Islam. Over Islam. So the British removed the Mughals from power and they came to power. They removed the rule of Islam and they brought the rule of cross, the cross.
Yeah.
And Mirza was supposed to be breaking the cross. The article is coming up. We will keep reminding you about this article so that you see what we're dealing with. This is when Queen Victoria was the queen. Asif Basit, if you're watching, this is what we're talking about. Okay? You're saying there was freedom, and those scholars were praising the British freedom, or the freedom the British colonial rule had facilitated for everyone to worship as they liked. What about this? What about this? And Mirza did not separate only the freedom. He said, mutlaqan, by default, I am subservient to the British colonial rule of India. By default, I am loyal. By default, Allah has sent down revelation upon me to be loyal, to be subservient to the British colonial rule in India. What about this? How British colonialism killed 100 million Indians in 40 years. This is worse than genocide and ethnic cleansing and massacre and mass murder. Genocide, ethnic cleansing, massacre, mass murder, this is all of that put together is worse than that. Between 1880, when Queen Victoria was the queen, Queen Victoria became the ruler of England in 1837, and she died in 1901, and she became the Empress of India after 1857. This is when she is ruling. And between 1880 to 1920, British colonial policies in India claimed more lives than all famines in the Soviet Union, Maoist China, and North Korea combined, according to Dylan Sullivan and Jason Hickel. Respond to this. How can your prophet, having received revelation from Allah, be loyal to this entity, people who are doing this? Or you cannot separate this. You cannot separate this from the profile of the British in India.
Yeah.
You cannot divorce this, because this is what matters. Now, it doesn't matter what the ulama or those dodgy, sold out or mistaken ulama might have said about the so-called freedom in the Indian subcontinent of religion. What freedom when they are killing 100 million people in 40 years? What freedom? Why does it matter? What freedom? The Israelis today claim the same thing, that we have Arabs living in Israel who are very free. They can pray as they like, they can live as they like, they wear hijab, Muslim women wear hijab. So we have Arab Israelis. They are claiming. Do we accept it? They are committing a genocide. They are committing a genocide as we speak. And amazingly, your Khalifa is speaking against it at face. If we, look at his speeches, he's trying to, in not so many words, he's trying to say, oh, this is zulm, this is oppression, what is happening? Okay. Why didn't Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani have the same level of decency to talk against the greatest crimes taking place in human history? This genocide in Gaza is less severe in magnitude than what the British colonial rule did in India from 1880 to 1920, when Mirza was alive and was active as a mujaddid, as a Masih Maud, or as a prophet, as you claim. And Queen Victoria was the queen. There's no escape. And your Mirza Masroor has the audacity to come and say, ओ आजकल जो इसराइल में जो गजा में हो रहा है वो जुल्म है, इसको खत्म होना चाहिए, मुसलमानों को कुछ करना चाहिए. Okay, right? Why wasn't Mirza decent enough to condemn something a million times bigger than what the Israelis are doing in Gaza? Yes.
Adnan bhai, let me tell you something very interesting. This same guy, Asif Basit, when this tragedy of Gaza started, guess what, bhai? He came up, he made a video. In that video, he said two things. Number one, he said that the people of Gaza are suffering because they rejected Mirza Ghulam Qadyani.
Oh,
And
Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar.
number two, bhai.
Maybe the response will be about the people of India. 100 million deaths they suffered because they didn't accept
And
Mirza.
you know, bhai, second thing, very look at this one. He said that Jews will go to Jannah without believing in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
A
He
concept
said
that goes.
he said these two things, and as soon as I cornered him, you know what did he do? He
Deleted.
immediately made the video private.
Hmm. And we want him to put those videos out again. If you're
Yes,
sincere, can you
yes,
put those videos? Asif Basit, you, the Murabbi, the official Murabbi of the Jamaat, if you have any courage or any sense of decency, put those videos out again.
yep.
And people will see your true colors. You are a liar. You are a liar. I'm sorry to say this. Yeah, you are lying to your own people. You have no respect for them, and you're lying to the whole world. And this is why we're doing this stream. Everyone can see. If 100 million people died, does that freedom matter? If the Israelis have given some freedom to some Palestinian Arabs living within the boundaries of current state of Israel, does that allow them the license to go and kill the people of Gaza and commit a genocide? Or shall now the scholars of Islam praise Israel for the freedom they have provided to few Arabs living within that domain? Oh, Israelis allow that freedom to pray and wear hijab. Therefore, don't speak against them. Don't speak. Don't say anything about the genocide of Gaza. Don't say anything. Don't even try to resist. Don't resist any oppression. Don't talk about it. Is that what you are recommending and suggesting? Because India was far worse. India was, in Gaza, only 100,000 people, not only, of course, it's a lot. May Allah have mercy on those souls. 100,000 people have been killed, estimated. Okay. People say 50,000, but I would say 100,000 because there are permanent injuries, right? But in India, 100 million people died. 100 million people died.